G'day. Now, just like the title suggests, this video will be all about my gold plan for World of Warcraft's 11th expansion, The War Within. In this expansion, I believe as a solo player, I can achieve a lot of gold by utilizing predominantly an alt army. By using this alt army approach in Dragonflight, it has made me believe that hard work can truly pay dividends even in a video game. I want to continue that methodology into The War Within, but this time I'm going to step up my game a lot more. In Dragonflight I was not 100% on gold making. This time I hope to be, but realistically speaking, 90% gold making and 10% playing the game as intended. So stick with me as I explain my thought process, and perhaps you can add to it via the comment section below. So for those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. My name's Goldson and I'm on a mission towards obtaining 100 million gold. Every Tuesday I release a weekly recap video showcasing how much gold I made, how I made it, and what goals to set for the upcoming week. My gold making journey is not for your average goblin, but if you want to see and keep an eye on me, you're more than welcome to do so. So first things first, I want to let you all know that I currently have 120 alts spread across 2 accounts ready for action. Both of my accounts are on the NA region and all of my toons are on Frostmourne, which is an oceanic server with the best ping. My style of gold making doesn't consist of cancel scanning, transmog, world farming, arbitrage flipping or boosting. I would say around 70% I prefer crafting and skinning cooldowns, 10% gear crafting, 10% world quests, and crafting consumables. This could change in The War Within, but let's just focus on the main gold making aspect, which I like the most. The reason why I enjoyed crafted cooldowns a lot is because it reminds me a lot of having a business, and every toon or alt you have in your company is making you money, but in this case, gold. So unlike farming in the game where you have to spend all your time focusing on gathering and then selling, my approach is more like, hey, I'm going to invest some time and energy into each of my employees, knowing that if I teach them well enough that in the future they will be able to produce more for less. It's like a scaling efficiency thing for me. I just know, economically speaking, that having a lot of characters working for you will make the most gold passively over time. For example, in Dragonflight now, I still make decent gold with minimal effort for the week. It allows me to have my alts work in the background in the form of a cooldown, such as the tailoring bolts and transmutations, all of which are on a timer. I prefer the alt army approach nowadays, and I believe a lot of people see the value in having an alt army, but the effort required to train up your employees just is not feasible for most players. In my case, I have a lot of time to spend within the game environment, and this is how I want to spend that time. Okay, so where to start? Since I have 60 alts, 4 of which I leave just basically untouched each expansion. These 4 alts have all 8 main crafting professions on them, and they will keep all the recipes that I have collected. I have 1 bank alt who I add into my alt army, so it would be 60 minus 4, which is 56 alts remaining, which is my current setup in Dragonflight. I plan to have 10 skinners set up for a perception build, which I will use for collecting the rare hide from the 24-hour spawn beast in the Ringing Deeps. It's quite similar to in Dragonflight we got the Zaralek Caverns Cobra hide, and then in the Emerald Dream the Antler Fragment. So far the superb Beast Fang is not currently used for any recipes in The War Within, but it's available. I suspect come 11.1, patch 11.1, the first major patch, we will see new recipes for this, and if I can have my Skinner alt set up and already farming these in my downtime, I can definitely see them being worth a pretty penny. Okay, so that leaves me with 46 alts, which I plan to have both alchemy and tailoring on each one. Now, I'll start off with the alchemy side of things. In the War Within, alchemists have a new transmutation dedicated spec tree called Thermatology, and this spec focuses on converting materials into other materials, such as the blasphemite gems, which is only obtained by alchemists. In Dragonflight, jewel crafters prospecting ore obtain the gems needed. I think this is a great change, giving the alchemist two things to do. One being transmute for rare sought out items, and the second player consumable. I will definitely be focusing on the blasphemite transmutation build, which I also hope to see in patch 11.1 new recipes for like a Dracothus 2.0 style transmute. This makes total sense to me that something like this would come out, because in Dragonflight patch 10.1 they brought it out, which was used to craft the higher tier crafted gear. But in Dragonflight no one bothered leveling up transmutation because they were not good for making gold. But when the PTR servers went live, every man and his dog pivoted to making Dracothus. This time I think the devs have learnt from this, and that's why we have the gem brought across from jewel crafters to ensure enough crafters can supply the demand for such an item come season 2. Okay, so you got my thoughts on alchemy. Now let's talk about tailoring. In Dragonflight, my 56 tailors are still making the most profit for me compared to the alchemists. Because the build requires a lot more time and effort to set up properly, the build consists of 260 knowledge points per alt, so that's around 14,500 knowledge points just on the tailor side, which doesn't include any points I also had to accumulate on the alchemy tree. It seems like a lot, but when you consider that it was all gained over 5 or 6 months of grinding every week to have that kind of setup. I wasn't fully committed, but I still managed to grind it out over time. I want to do the same in this expansion, but I want to document, tweak and learn from others so I can get to a point where gold making is like 100% routine, kind of like a job in real life. Like I want to log in and click a few buttons, transfer some mats and then log out, and that's it. But everyone knows to get to that point won't be easy, but I'm willing to give it a good go, that's for sure, and I'll try and avoid burnout. The delayed gratification will be well worth it in my opinion. I nearly forgot to mention what items I will be crafting with tailoring. First, I want 23 of my tailoring alts to go the Dawnweave Bolt side, and the other 23 alts to focus on the Duskweave Bolt side. Eventually, with more knowledge points, I will have them decked out in both. I will most likely craft the bolts into other items like spell threads to sell on the auction house, or just sell the bolts to other crafters and act like a factory. I normally don't double dip, but we will see in time, who knows. Alright, so just considering all of that does seem overkill. And you're probably right, but this method of gold making is a life skill that I'm trying to portray to my audience. The skill is invest in meaningful pursuits, even though very hard to do and nothing to show for it in the short term, but in the long term, it will net you the most return. This is a proof of work type system. You put in more work, you get more from it. We are moving from a economy in-game that benefits hard work instead of people who have the most gold and forever sit at the top. This is no longer the case. So if you stop giving value to the marketplace, then over time your gold stack will diminish over time. There are so many gold sinks in the game now, and less means to obtain gold. This tells me that the economy is utilizing what we call quantitative tightening, which in layman's terms is less coming in and more going out. So we will see how the economy is going forward. I have my theories. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that I have 120 alts. First, I'll start by doing one account first. Then once I iron out a solid weekly plan, I will start the second account. It makes sense for me to get stuff going first so I can start to make gold as early as possible and then scale up, utilizing all the alts eventually. This plan will be tweaked over time so as to make it as efficient as possible. At this stage, I'm not quite certain there is enough time in a week for 120 alts. I will have enough time for 60 for sure. In Dragonflight, I focused on gear crafting and playing customer service, but this time around, I'm not going to bother with it. I will focus on my plan to start off with, and depending on time, I will look into other markets. For now, I'm going to give it a miss. So I've been talking a little while now, and I suspect you understand where I will be focusing my time and effort in the game come launch. And I hope you also have a plan to make gold. There are so many ways to make gold in this game. So many different ways. Like, I'm not an alt army purist by any sense. I do enjoy watching other gold makers make their gold for sure. I just grind and chill, watching others most of the time. Put music on or a playlist and just grind out my chores. I will be putting together my spreadsheets to track knowledge points and everything regarding what I just talked about. But this video has gone on for long enough. I got a roll now, and I do appreciate the viewership. It's pretty unreal, to be honest. So have fun out there. Well, that's the end of today's video. Have a good one, and I'll catch you on the flip-flop. Goldson out.